Hello friends, welcome to the vlog. I'm Noelle and this week we are gonna make a Symington corset mock-up of the Pretty Housemaid corset. For those of you guys who don't know, the Pretty Housemaid is a corset that looks like this. It was made popular in the 1890s. It was considered the strongest and cheapest corset. It was mass manufactured. It was something like you could go to the store and just buy in a box, which is one of the first times corsets were ever sold that way instead of just like being custom made for you exactly all the time. So it was one of the most popular ones that ever existed, and it was sold like hotcakes. So I have found a person online called Michelle Fitzgerald, who is Clockwork Faerie online on Instagram, and she also has an Etsy store. And she sells you can just buy the Pretty Housemaid. Like, she will just make you one. It is $700, and I am like, I could do that. But she will also sell you just a straight pattern if you want. She will also sell you a pattern that has been modified to fit your exact measurements. So she had a big sale at the Black Friday times, and I bought myself a size to me pattern for this beautiful corset. So I'm very excited to make one, and this week we're gonna make the mock-up. I have signed myself up also for a fitting with her because she's a corsetier. She makes them all the time, so she's really good at fitting. So I'm gonna make the thing, and then I'm gonna have the conversation with her. I will also ask her if she is cool if we film some of that little interaction that we're gonna have. It's like a 20 to 40 minute session. I will not include the whole thing, but you might be able to see some of what people look for when they're doing a consultation. One of the things about getting a pattern like this is that you don't necessarily get instructions, which she threatens you with when you order it from her. However, she sends you a YouTube video that is an hour long of her like stitching every single seam, every single stitch. Like, you get some pretty good instructions on this. So if you decide to do it, don't be threatened by the you have to know how to put this together by yourself kind of situation there. Like, she's gonna tell you exactly how to do it. She sends you a YouTube video. It's great, and many instructions. I do have some stuff on order because I did not have a 14-inch busk. I had a 13-inch busk, which was annoying, but I also had to order some bones and made a little kerfuffle with some of that, so there might be 2 sets of this coming. I'm not sure. I do have some pre-washed couture that I want to use. She tells you that you can do it as a single layer for your mock-up for the fitting. However, I actually kind of want to do it where I practice the cording method and stuff like that, so I am going to do a 2-layer corset, and I just have this random like purple cotton hanging around, so I am going to throw that in the laundry and then use that cotton in order to make a 2-layer corset. So I don't think this is going to be a corset I keep because it's probably not going to be exactly fitted correctly, so I'm not too worried about the awesomeness of this fabric. If it does fit and I can keep it, then cool, I will, and I'll finish the edges and do stuff like that. But until that, I'm not going to worry about it too much. So I'm not too concerned about this fabric. I was trying to pick something really pretty, and then I was like, bah, it's a mock-up, stop it. Alrighty, we have the pattern cut out now, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut out the couture and the cotton layer. The one thing to note is that the cotton layer should be cut out a little bit larger, like wider by I think a 1/4 inch in each side. You cut that off later, but it's in case when you're doing the cording, because that can take up some room in the fabric and you want that to be out of the cotton layer, so you cut that just a little bit wider. But I think that's kind of boring to watch, and I've been doing a lot of time lapses of cutting out fabric. So instead of making you watch that, I'm going to tell you about a new fun game I've been playing. I am very excited to tell you guys that today's video is sponsored by June's Journey. I don't know about you guys, but I love me a mobile game. I play them like when I'm in line at the grocery store or at the post office, or when I'm trying to wind down in the evening, or when my husband is playing a video game that I'm completely uninterested in, but we are having hangout time. So I love playing them, and I've been playing June's Journey for a couple years now. It's an absolutely gorgeous game. It's a hidden object murder mystery game set in the 1920s where you play this character called June Parker, who's like a lady detective about town in her cute little outfit. She's so gorgeous, and she's trying to solve her sister's murder, supposedly by her sister's husband. I find hidden object games really fun to play. They're like nice and like memory game style, except this one has a little twist every time I think I know what I'm doing. Like, I always play each level to its maximum, because the more you play the level, the more points you get, and the more points you get, the more prizes you get, and the more prizes you get, and the more energy you get, and the more energy you get, the longer you can play. So I'm always trying to max that out, which is super fun. And I always think I'm gonna be the boss of the level every time I try it again. This game is awesome because every time you play it, they add new stuff. So I'm always like, I got this, I'm gonna do, what do you mean the number 2? Feathers? What do you mean feathers? The scenes are all designed really beautifully. The colors are very vibrant and like pleasing to look at, and all the objects are hidden really creatively, which I really enjoy, because sometimes you feel like you're gonna get a hint like, oh, the fish will be in water, and sometimes you're like, nope, that didn't happen, which I also find hilarious every time. Anyway, I have just been totally enjoying this game. I would recommend it to everybody. I think it's super fun. It's free to download on iOS or Android, and if you want to play it on your PC, you totally can. You do that through Facebook Games. If you would like to join me and June on her journey, please download the game from the link in the description below. Okay, we are all prepared with both couture and cotton fashion fabric. What are we calling it? We're gonna call this the cotton layer. Okay, doing this and doing this. I cannot do the busk insertion, so what I'm gonna do is try to work on the pieces in the middle, and I guess all the way to the end. Everything but the busk piece, which is piece number 1. So I'm gonna be sewing the mock-up and cording the hip pieces kind of at the same time. So we're gonna start with pieces 2 and 3 here. So they have been cut with a little bit of extra on the side so that the cording can get done. These are cording channels and boning channels involved. She does the sandwich method, which is great because that's how I do it. So fantastic. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is mark the channels and stuff that are on this right now onto the fabric, so that I have guides for where I'm going to end up putting the boning channels and stuff. But I think those are all sort of like movable targets, so we'll see how they go. Okay, so we have this one marked. I need to do that one. I just wanted to come back and say that I mark these just by doing math. So this is a 1/2 inch, this is 3/16. This is 1 1/16 up here and 1 3/16 down here to find the first edges for a line, and then you can just draw a straight line there. Each of these 2 cording channels and these 2 cording channels are 3/16, and these 2 boning channels are also 3/16, so I just, you know, marked a bunch of 3/16 and then cut them in half for the cording channels. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and sandwich method this. So this is at panel 2 and this is panel 3 of the, when you're looking at it, right side of the corset, when you're wearing it left side. And how you do the sandwich method is you take the 2 sides that are the fashion fabric and you put them right sides together, and then you flip that over and you put the 2 sides that are the couture side right sides together. Is that right? Nope, goes this way. Hi. And then you sew your 1/2 inch seam allowance. And here we have that seam sewn. Then we're going to go ahead and open this guy up so that the seam allowance always presses towards 3. If you do it on both sides, you have a sandwich seam, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and press this guy open on both sides, from both sides, so that it's nice and even and flat. And then I'm going to start stitching in boning channels and doing a little bit of cording. Okay, this is what she looks like corded. There's boning channels here, there's one here, there's 2 more here. So what I need to do now is trim off all this extra, and then this guy wandered. Doesn't matter because this is seam allowance. But what I'm going to do is take, scary, rotary blade and trim off all the extra stuff so that it's the right size. Everything has been trued up. You want to keep the coutil, like you never want to trim anything off the coutil because that's kind of your like pattern. It's the thing that isn't going to warp as easily, so that's fine. And the warping that happened here is absolutely fine because it's in the seam allowance, it's all going to get trimmed off. But everything has been trued up. I'm going to go do the whole thing again with that one. Okay, we have 2 of them going. I did check them and they are the same. I am using a clothes brush, I think this is called, to buff out some of the chalk that I put on here. Okay, for attaching 4, so this is the one that we're gonna cord all the way down. You can see that this cutout purple piece is way bigger than this pattern piece, and that's because a lot of this is gonna get sucked up in the cording. I did a sample of this and it got sucked up, so I cut a lot. She cut a lot in her demo video as well. So anyway, this is piece 2, 3, and 4, and you attach it basically up and down in the same sandwich method as we did 2 to 3. I did forget to like trim down the interior seam allowance in there. I will try and remember to do that here, but it is what it is, so it's not a big deal. This is a mock-up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the exact same sandwich thing, flip it over, iron it, sew a millimeter away, and then sew another, like this one is about 6 millimeters away, or 3/8 of an inch. Just like another sort of top stitch, basically to hold down the seam allowance essentially, and then you just start cording away, and you cord this all the way down to the hem, which is more determined by this than anything else. So I will be drawing lines on all of this. So I wanted to take a little pause here to say, when I tell people that making a corset is just sewing straight lines, I'm like really serious. It is really just sewing straight lines. Everyone is really intimidated by doing it. Everybody has been made to seem, it has been made to seem to everyone, I think is what I'm trying to say, that this is the most difficult thing that you can do in sewing. It is the most unattainable. Of course, it was honestly one of the first things I ever sewed. It wasn't that hard. The fitting part is a little bit hard, but if you do what I did and just get a person to make the pattern for you to your size measurements, you don't need to worry about it because she's already done that. And I'm paying her to help me fit the thing. So that's also a possibility. It's $20 for the fitting. Like, it's not unattainable, guys. Like, that is a realistic amount of money to have someone spend a little bit of time with you to help you do that. So like, you know, you can, if you have the finances available, checkbook engineer your way through this, but also you could have a corset that just doesn't fit perfect and you'll just fit it, you'll wear it, you'll go, oh, that needs a little more room there. You'll figure it out. It's not really that hard. So I'm kind of just here to just cheerlead and say, yo, like, make a corset if you want to make a corset. Like, honestly, it's not that difficult. It's really not complicated. It's literally just a lot of straight lines. Okay, this is what it looks like when it's flipped out and sandwiched. I did trim down the inside of the seam allowance because it was really bulky, because there's definitely like cording and stuff. Also, the seam is pretty hectic because I didn't trim it down. As you can see, there's overhang on both sides. That will get trimmed off. And actually, there's overhang of this guy on this side. That's also okay. This pattern's like a little bit big on this one piece. I talked to her a little bit about it, so I'm just gonna cord it and then I will trim it down. Okay, so here it is with the 2 top stitching lines on, which looks great. I have marked on here so I can flip up and look where I need to stop cording. So I'm just gonna go in and just park cords in over and over and over again until I get down to this line. This line represents a 1/2 inch of seam allowance, which does get trimmed off at the end, and a 1/4 inch of hemline for the binding. Okay, we're over here at the sewing machine, which gives my camera like ulcers trying to figure out the lighting. So I've put in some cords. All you do is cut some cord. I'm using this cord, which is like baker's twine. I bought some macrame cord for the real one, but I thought it was gonna be wax. It is not. It's also thicker than this, and this actually seems to work somewhat better with the lines that are designated. So anyway, you just set it in there and then you kind of like move your nails along it, make sure it's up there. And then I just use a zipper foot here that is for either side, and I move my needle all the way over, and I just stitch it on down. So that is this whole process, and I just do this until I get to that line. And we are done, and this is all corded. I'm going to go ahead and do the other one, and then we can move on to the next piece. We have piece number 5 on, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the cording here. This one has one big bone in the middle that's like a 1/2 inch wide bone. I am waiting on, I have one of those, but I don't have the other one, so I'm waiting for that one to show up. But I can do the cording here. Okay, we have panel 5 on. I'm going to go do it to the other one, and then we're going to come back and talk about 6, because that is the back panel. I'm going to make the back panel and make it so it's corded and all that stuff, and so it can attach to this. But I'm also not going to grommet it. I'm going to put the lacing strips on it, but I'm going to put the lacing strips on the underside, so it laces under the cord. I don't know how to explain this other than they're going to go in the back, because I think if I put them on the front, it will like take up more space. Like the stuff underneath it will take up space, and I don't want that. I want to see what the actual fit is, so I'm putting it on the bottom side. But that is for after we get the other one of these done. Pattern piece number 1 and pattern piece number 6 are the only ones left that I need to cord. But 6 is the one I'm going to work on right now because I need the busk to do number 1, and I don't have that yet. Hopefully tomorrow, maybe the next day. So both of these also have, notably, their cording channels curve. This is the one time at which being larger in girth actually helps a lot, because this angle is significantly less sharp than some of the ones I've seen. The smaller you are, the sharper this angle becomes, I think. I'm not positive about that, but I think so. So that should be not bad. I can figure out where this line is and then just do the angle. It's not going to be a problem. I'm going to do this huge seam allowance first, and then lay in everything for these 2 sets of these bones here, and there's a grommet section here. Like I said, I'm gonna skip that grommet section for the purposes of right now, but you can see mine has exactly the same bone here, and the grommets here, so these should work just fine with this, no problem. And then I'm gonna lay in these guys, and then I'll attach it and add in this boning channel. The attachment method is kind of the same, but just with a little bit of a nuance to it, so I'll get to that in just a minute. So I have these 2 now pressed over, so they are encasing their little seam allowance, and by little I mean huge. I'm going to do the 3 lines I need to do here for boning channel, grommet channel, boning channel, and then figure out what to do with the rest of that. By the way, I am listening to Better Homes and Hauntings by Molly Harper. I love Molly Harper. Her books are like cute, candy-like, fun, you know everything's going to turn out okay kind of books. Her reader is Amanda Ronconi, and I really love Amanda Ronconi, so I'm enjoying this book immensely. Alright, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. So here, this is number 6, and that is the rest of it. And instead of sandwiching them, because you can't, because this is obviously created, you go ahead and pin them together, but just to the couture layer. And then after that's done, we're gonna iron this down, and we're gonna tuck this under and top stitch it down. So that's how that's gonna go. It's very much like an 18th century like jacket, how that works. Okay, so I am going just past this seam that I have made right here and tucking it under and pinning it down, and then I will come through and run a top stitch line right along the edge here, and then make a boning channel for that. I'm using one of these cool like corset ham situations to do this. So once that's done, I just have to wait for that busk to show up, and then I can finish this thing. Okay, so this is the seam that I just put in, and this is all together. So I guess I'm gonna finish the other one, and then I will have to wait for the busk to show up, hopefully tomorrow, but we'll see what happens, and then we can finish this baby up. Okay, we have good news, we have bad news, and we have Noelle got a little ambitious news. So the bad news is I have finished my book, and that was a great book. I liked it a lot. And the bad news is that I need to pick another one. I have a ton of books to choose from, but like I really just want more of that. I don't have any more Audible credits until like April. I could buy them early, but I don't want to do that. So like, yeah, so I'm gonna pick something else, but I just want more of that. Like, it was light and fluffy and good, and yeah. Okay, so done whining. The good news is my busk arrived today, and it didn't arrive at like 8 p.m., which like sometimes my mail comes really late. I feel so bad for my postal workers because like I've had my mail literally get delivered at like 7 or 8 at night, and I'm like, why are you guys still working? I have so many thoughts about the Postmaster General. Anyway, so that is the good news. So I can go ahead and make number one and attach it now and carry on. The Noelle Got Ambitious news is I scheduled my fitting for tomorrow night. And I have to teach someone how to sew tomorrow, like all day. So I have to get this corset done tonight. So let's review what we need to do left. We need to insert the busk and make panel 1 and attach it. Fine. I need to cut all the boning, I need to grind all the boning, and then I need to insert all the boning. Fine. I was considering binding the corset because you have to cut off a ½ an inch on the top and bottom of this corset. Like, this is an inch bigger than it's actually going to end up being. And I think that's kind of important. Like, normally I would just be like, no, and leave it. But I think it's important for the fitting to have it be the right height. So I am gonna try and get all that done tonight. Okay, sure. It doesn't seem like it should be that much. Grinding the boning takes a while. Panel 1 will take probably an hour. Binding will take a while, but I'm gonna try her technique of binding it entirely on the machine. I've never done that before, but I'm willing to give it a go. So that's where we're at. All right, let's stop chattering and get this busk in and get panel 1 made. So we are prepping piece 1 for busk insertion. Busk insertion. Busk insertion sounds super dirty to me. Anyway, it sounds like something your gynecologist also does. Okay, so I have marked where my sew line. I've also marked like the seam allowance here and where the binding goes to, so 1/4 inch. So that's 3/4 of an inch top and bottom. And then I have laid this down so that it fits within that. And then I have marked on either side of these loopy things. And what I'm going to do is sew down to there, skip, sew to there, skip, sew to there, skip. So that there's a hole in the seam. And then you just slide it in and sew behind it. It's just super easy. So I have this done. You may be able to see where like my thread is because I jumped over those areas. I also backstitch before and after each one. This process takes for a friggin' ever because you're like carefully stitching along this line. This whole section I went back, I backstitched this entire thing and then went back over it because I kind of like, I forgot to backstitch here and I got kind of off over here because I was trying to talk to a friend and that was dumb, so then I just backed up and then went forward. It's fine, it's all gonna be fine because this is all on the inside. So I'm gonna go iron it right side out so that I can put the busk in. Good news, friends! I found another Molly Harper book, so I'm just gonna listen to that. So here it is. You just open this guy up and you look for your little slots you made and start shoving these in. Okay, so then I'm gonna go ahead and just hand baste along the edge here to hold this kind of taut all the way down so that when you're gonna machine sew around the busk, it's already like firmly in there. It doesn't get out. It's just, trust me, baste this. So I stitched along there, just a straight line, using a zipper foot. And now I have placed this, you know, right next to it and marked the spots that these guys go in. You do have to be careful because this is like not even. There's more busk on this side than there is on this side of little nubbins, and you want the little nubbins to be close to here. So you have to like look here. That's a better angle for seeing that. So you want to make sure that those are on that side. But essentially at this point I just take an awl and poke a hole and stick this thing in there. And then I baste it the same way and I sew it the same way. Okay, it is forever later. I have this guy all done and I'm going to attach it in the same way I did number 6 over there. I'm doing one at the beginning, so I'm just gonna attach that whole piece there to just the couture layer and then fold over, pin, and sew down and make a boning channel. One side is done and the boning channel is put on and it looks good. It's ready for, I think I need to do bottom binding first. And this one is sewn together. It just needs now to be top stitched and then a boning channel put in. By the way, if you're gonna make corsets, this thing is baller. I think you can get these on Etsy or eBay maybe. I just looked up like a corsetry ham. I have a couple of them and it's awesome. It's really great for like literally curving that curve I just showed you, or your hip curve even. That's also a great one. I would like one that's actually the full, but I guess it would be really hard to determine both curves for everyone. So anyway, this being longer would also help. Okay, these are done. I have marked a 1/2 inch, which is the seam allowance. So I'm gonna attach this binding, which I just sliced. I am learning to use this thing that I hate. I will say having this mat and not using this mat makes it much better. Like I'm less, for some reason it works better. So this is not a self-healing mat. I can see why people want a self-healing mat, but this is what the store I went to had at the moment I needed it. Anyway, this 1/2 inch here is actually going to cut off. What you do is flip this guy upside down here, pin it on, and then sew it at 1/4 inch, then bind it. She has a method. This amount of product here is supposedly enough to catch it on the back side if you stitch in the ditch on the front. So we're going to see if that works. As you can see, I did the sewing on and I sliced this 1/2 inch off with that. And now I'm gonna flip and then double flip and stitch in the ditch and hope this works out. I forgot our dopamine. There's one, there's another one. Working on some of this right now. This is probably overkill and why everything takes me 95 years, but I did baste this down because like this is gonna go face down onto the sewing and I don't want it to like come out. So now we're gonna stitch in this ditch here and get this guy attached so the bottom is bound. I'm gonna bind the bottoms on both so that I can insert all of the bones. Okay, so we have the bottom bound on both of them. I also have synthetic whalebone, which I am going to try filing first before I get out the Dremel and stuff, because I mean the Dremel is cool and I don't mind using the Dremel. It's just like kind of a faff and a mess making, and I have like I'm giving someone sewing lessons tomorrow, so I kind of don't want to destroy my craft room, but we'll see. So I'm gonna put this to good use and try to get this all boned. Nope, files are like, no, absolutely not. I am 100% Dremeling this bad boy. So I'm in an assembly line procedure boning. They're completely boned. I'm super excited. You know, that whole thing only took like, I don't know, 45 minutes tops. Maybe not even that. Like, it was super fast. Thank God for the Dremel. I'm not going to do grommets, but I am going to bind the top of it. It's really good. I have it on. It's done. I bound the top. It looks really good. Like, I'll show you in just a second. Okay, please excuse my Cheshire cat pants, but like, again, I am not getting an unreasonable amount of waist reduction here. Like, this is my normal waist reduction down to like 38, and that is what this is. It fits my belly very nicely, which my other corsets do not. So I'm into that. This cording on the side is like a very comforting. It like is gentle about its pulling on you. Yeah, I am like astonished because I thought that this was going to be far too small for me, but it actually like pretty much closes in the back. I lined the lacing strips up so that they line up exactly with the edge. and they essentially close. So there's like a little bit of a gap here. When Chris was showing it to me earlier, the picture he showed me, this was like completely closed. So I just think that's like my tying error. But yeah, it's basically completely closed and it's not uncomfortable in any way. I love it. Like, I think it looks great. I'm excited about it. Unfortunately, it means I have to buy more bones and another bust, because if I'm going to make another one, like, I'll probably just leave this one as a corset that I can wear under things, because why not? It looks great. I'm going to see what she says tomorrow. Michelle did say that I can show you guys what happens at my fitting so that you guys can see what a fitting is like. Although I don't know what she's possibly going to say about this, because I feel like it's pretty good. Like, I feel like she's going to be like, that's the one. She might actually not like that it closes in the back, because I think she was expecting a gap. There's no gap. So I don't really know what to do about that. The other thing is, this corset isn't the length around that this is getting around me, so I'm very confused by the math, so I have to measure everything again. But so far I love it, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. So for tonight, we can cross these off, and we can cross this off, which is great. Okay, so let me change. They were on my computer, which I don't think is the best idea, but I'll also back up. Dude.
Yeah. Yes. Hey, that looks really good, man.
Yeah, last night it actually shut all the way, and I was like, I don't think she's gonna like that, but
It's a good problem to have. Yeah.
I mean, it means I have room for tacos, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Distorted. I can't tell, like, if it were me,
Uh-huh.
I don't know that I would change that much.
That's
uh,
also very valid. Yeah.
yeah.
It's really good. And probably the things that I will check with you are just like how does it feel to sit and like if it's rubbing anywhere and things like that. So
Okay, so I'm gonna put you down and then see. Here's my cleavage, and then I'll back up so you can look at things you need to look at. Is that a good view? Is it
yeah.
weird? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's me. I'm like 5'10" and I sometimes wonder like, yeah, this is how I like see people most of
I'm
the
like,
time.
this is how it actually looks, because my screen is like super tilted forward right now.
Hmm. Yeah, the only thing I think would be like to take in the space again in like the side and the back to give you that room. And then yeah, that too, like how does that like side bust?
It
Can
feels
you
good. It's like super
yeah.
comfortable.
Mm-hmm,
And it doesn't seem like it's too much. It might be like ever so slightly too much,
mm-hmm,
but like I can stick my hand in here. Like, I don't know
mm-hmm.
if I should be able to do that, but it feels very comfortable. It's the first corset that I've ever had even a slight bit of cleavage in. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Ah, nice. Yeah, it's very much just kind of a matter of preference. Like my usual kind of goal that I go for, especially if it's under historical costume, is just that we don't want to make like a hard line here.
Yeah,
So like yeah, if you want to like pinch out a little bit at the side,
at the
we
top,
and like kind of see how that feels, or if it's just like too much.
like just a
Yeah.
I feel like that feels fine.
Okay.
It doesn't, it's like I'm basically pinching out the bone, sort of,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Okay.
also feels fine. I don't know if it looks better.
It's giving a little less like it's a nicer line out from like waist to shoulders to
Mm-hmm.
take it in like just a tad. But
Okay.
yeah, it's
Like,
I feel like they look better if they're almost a little loose. But yeah, I think
yeah.
that's a good amount to take it in.
Okay, so pinch out like 3/8 of an inch out of each side and then
Yeah.
taper it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and I will make all these corrections. Like
Oh, you
I
are.
will sit down
Okay.
on my computer tomorrow and make like PDF version 2 and send it to you via email.
That's awesome. Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah, if you're like interested in what all's going on too, I can like right? Or like draw a little diagram or something of like, here's what I changed. And like,
Okay. Yeah,
it's,
like especially the room for the belly is kind of awesome. I have another corset that is Laughing Moon and it's
mhm,
very straight here
mhm,
and it makes all of my chub come down here and
mhm.
I'm like I would like to not have that happen. So this is fantastic.
Yay.
Oh, it's very comfortable to sit in and it does not shove up, which is really nice.
It's the extra belly room. Because yeah, if
Like,
everything's too small and then you sit, it all just goes like whoo and like yeah.
yep. And then
No.
out the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
That's really unattractive. So
Super uncomfy. Yeah.
I hate it.
But yeah, it looks like it's sitting really well too. It's not like digging in the top of the legs or anything. The back looks good. But yeah, it looks great to me. So yeah, just those two really tiny things of like the little side bust thing and then taking like just a little bit out of the back lacing gap. I think
Okay,
that'll do it.
fantastic.
Yay.
Is that a make another mock-up or go ahead and use the expensive stuff phase?
Go for it. Yeah. I feel really confident. These are
Okay.
pretty small changes and you took really good measurements and everything, so thank you. I'm so thankful that I get to do this. It's really cool. Thank
Yeah.
you for trusting me with something so personal, and I'm really excited to see what you make on top of it.
It's
See
this
what will
this
get
is
fit
such
over
a
it.
great pattern. Like anybody out there who wants this pattern, highly recommend. She has it in sized, right? Like it comes in regular sizes and then also you will make it custom to order.
Yeah, right now it's only in like the two sizes that I kind of found myself making like over and over and over and over again.
Mhm.
Um, Future plans are to grade it out fully, but yeah, custom is always open.
And it's not
That
expensive, guys. And if
so
you have to, just wait for Black Friday and that's what I did.
yeah.
But it was a great experience. This thing fits me like a glove and like stuff doesn't fit like me like a glove usually. So that's like a testament. So yeah.
Yay.
Okay, that was super easy and quick. And honestly, we have one adjustment and it's to the side bust to just bring it in a little tiny bit. And she, like I thought she would, wants to open up the back. So we negotiated down opening up the back. I also wanted to mention that if you do the fitting with her, you get another copy of your pattern. Like you don't have to do the adjustments. She does them for you and sends you the pattern again. That's the way to go. So highly recommend, Michelle, if you wanted to make this corset, she will size it to you to your size and she's gonna start doing that with more corsets soon. So I'm very excited about that because I would like all the corsets and I would like them sized to my size without me having to do that because I don't like that idea. Anyway, I think I'm gonna end this video here since it's been a week and put it up for you. I am not going to make the final corset immediately. I am gonna go work on my ball gown because I need to make at least a bodice and a skirt in the next month, and I am, at this point, I have no inspiration. I don't know what I want to do. Okay, so the honest truth is like, I don't really want a ball gown, but I want to go to a ball. So you have to have a ball gown if you want to go to a ball. So my ball gown might be understated, but I will not be naked at this ball, which is going to be the only goal that I have, which I feel like is compassionate towards myself. So we will see what happens. Maybe my ball gown will be like outlandish. I don't think I have enough time to like embellish it ridiculously, but we shall see. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. If you are new here, please go down below to the comment section and introduce yourself to me because I would love to know who you are and like what you're about and like what you do. Are you into sewing? Are you not? How did you find me? All that stuff. Also, if you are not new here, go down below and leave me a comment and let me know how you guys are doing, what's going on with you, what are you making, what are you working on, what are you reading, what are you watching, what are you listening to, all of those things as usual. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you want a notification about when I upload, go ahead and ring that bell also while you're there. And lastly, do not forget to go down below and hit that link to download June's Journey today. Bye guys!